Okay, and we're live once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. Please like the channel, like the videos. Hit the retweet button. If you're on Twitter, retweet the video, share it among your friends, share it on your Facebook page. And of course, thank you for your support. And we hope that you continue to support us. Again, massive shout out to our members, all new members and new members to BWTM Sports channel, the Facebook page. It's growing. We're getting more and more people in the page. Fantastic. Lots more people join the group. So shout out to you all that have decided to join the group and those who are already in the group. Thank you for your contributions. One of the things that's great about the BWTM group channel page, much like any group, is that you get informed of things that's going on. And I was about to do a preview on Hughie versus Sam Sexton, which I will do. Before I do that, I'm not sure how many people are aware that before Hughie actually turned pro, the night before he turned pro in Canada, I did an interview with Hughie. And I got an interview with him. We spoke for about good 15, 20 minutes. This is before Hughie became more of a talkative individual. He was having his first pro fight. And his first pro fight was against a gentleman by the name of David Whittam, who is from Canada, Canadian fighter, heavyweight. And at that point, I got a message from Kathleen Sharp. Shout out to Kathleen. Hope you're watching. I hope you're well in Canada. With some distressing news that David Whittam, the heavyweight from Canada, has passed away today. Now, I'll give you some more information about this story. More terrible news. First, recently we had Scott Westgarth, who we had on this channel, one of his fights. So again, rest in peace, Scott, and condolences to the Westgarth family. And prayers are with you and your family and your friends at this time. As for David Whittam, of course, condolences to David Whittam and his family, and the Whittam family. Let me just go to the story, and I actually got it from the Canadian news, which is probably best. Says here, it's in CBC News. It says boxer Dave Whittam dead 10 months after being in coma after the Fredericton fight. I hope I pronounced the guy's name right. So David Whittam, who'd been in an artificial coma since May 2017, died at the age of 39. His death was confirmed by his relatives on Friday, which was Saturday today, when it's in Canada. With a broken heart in million pieces, I announce to you, my friends, that my David Whittam has joined the Angels and my mother this afternoon, said his partner, Jelena Zerndner, in French. Whittam, a native of St. Quentin, New Brunswick, lost in a 10-round to Gary Copus in Saskatoon in a match for the Canadian Professional Boxing Council Cruiserweight Championship that was held in Fredericton. Okay, so the area of Fredericton itself. I didn't want to hit him again. Boxer regrets putting opponent in hospital. This is Gary Copus talking here. Whittam began to experience severe headaches several minutes after the fight. He was taken to the St. John Regional Hospital, where he underwent surgery for a brain hemorrhage after doctors had detected hemorrhage on the left side of the brain. Whittam was then placed into an artificial coma. The athlete turned 39 years old on March 10th. Brandon Brewer, the organizer of the May 2017 boxing match, offered his condolences on Facebook. R.I.P. Dave. My deepest condolences to the Whittam family and friends. Every time Dave came down to Fredericton, if I butchered the name, I apologize, he would help me train. He was always trying to guide me in the right direction. He always taught me to stay positive and stay focused no matter what. He helped me get ready for my Canadian championship, and I was fortunate enough to have him in my corner when we won. Looking back, that title was for you, champ. Rest in peace, brother. So that's David Whittam, the Canadian boxer who boxed Hughie Fury in his debut, has passed away on Friday, age 39. He was in a coma for, I think, 10 months. Back in May, he was put in the coma. So that's very sad news to break. But all the more so while breaking this news to boxing fans and people around the world, that, again, it re-emphasizes my point. And when we've got people around the world on Twitter negotiating or saying this fighter should get 50% or that fighter should get 40% or this fighter should get 10% or whatever, as far as I'm concerned, it's insensitive, because how many of those promoters or so-called promoters and managers that are on Twitter and Facebook and all these forums now are going to turn around and support a fighter that gets badly injured in a fight? Zippo, none. All those so-called promoters that are saying a fighter shouldn't get X amount of money. A fighter should get the most amount of money they should get from every fight, because they never know if they'll be able to go back to their friends and their family afterwards. It's a brutal sport. And again, situations like this just remind us right home straight again to emphasize the point in these fighters need to get every single fighter, no matter if it's a small hall show, the heavyweight championship of the world, a strawweight fight, a fight with only two people fighting on a hall. I don't care. Every fighter should get the maximum amount of monies given to them, and I will always be a defender of that. And I will never be one who's going to sit down here and tell you down the camera that, I think he should get 40%. I think he should get 50%. I think he should get 10%. I'm not taking the blows in that ring. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not taking the blows in the ring, and I don't know that person's situation and their lifestyle. That's none of my business. They're here as the sport to entertain us and give us great fights. As long as the fights are made, of course, that's what matters. Of course, we want to see the best fight the best. And any fighter, whether it be in UFC or boxing or any sort of contact sport or any sort of entertainment sport, at the end of the day, they need to get paid the maximum amount of money. And that's it, I will say on that point. So again, condolences. Now, let's get into things. Sam Sexton versus Hughie Fury. Oh, you're wondering why I'm laughing. Well, there's lots to talk about. First of all, first time I saw Sam Sexton was him getting beaten up by the unbeaten Derek Chisora. The second time I saw Sam Sexton was him getting beaten up again, I think in the same round, by Derek Chisora in a rematch. I'm sure I saw Sam Sexton fight Larry Olibamiru, the War Machine. And then I'm sure I saw Sexton. Didn't Sexton fight John McDermott? I'm sure he did. And then I saw David Price bowl him over. That's when everyone said that Price was going to be next heavyweight champion of the world. And then I didn't even watch the Cornish fight, to be honest. I thought Sexton was going to bang Cornish over in a couple of rounds. No disrespect to Gary Cornish now, but I guess, I expected Sexton to do a better job on Gary Cornish than he did. He won the title. He's British champion. And I'm going to give him maximum respect. He's saying afterwards, I watched the post-fight interview. He said he had some problems, some personal problems, and he dedicated the title to his mum. I think on the grave or something like that, and he took the belt to the grave and stuff. He was talking about it. So he was very emotional, and shout out to Sam Sexton for getting through a difficult patch in his boxing career and his personal life to become British heavyweight champion. So let's put that out there first and foremost. Shout out to Sam Sexton on his pro, and now he's British heavyweight champion. Just shout out to Sam Sexton for that. Then, on the other side, Hughie Fury. According to Peter Fury, according to many boxing fans and supporters, they believe Hughie Fury is the uncrowned WBO heavyweight champion of the world. You have one side on the fence saying, well, okay, of the fence saying, look, as far as we're concerned, Hughie didn't do enough to win the title. Well, I can't turn around to you and tell you that I didn't think Hughie won that fight because I was commentating live. And I said, the only belt that Joseph Parker is taking away in this fight is his trouser belt. I was shocked at the result, right? And to go one step further, I looked Joseph Parker in his face, sitting down. I said, honestly, champ, no disrespect to you, but I felt you lost that fight. I felt that Hugh made you miss. He made you pay. He hit you with more shots. That's how I felt. And I voiced my opinion on that. Not in a disrespectful fashion, no. I mean, Joseph Parker's a very good fighter and a very nice man. But then you've got the other side of the fence that people say, oh, well, you can't win the fight off the back foot running. As some people say, Hugh was running. He didn't land enough punches. He wasn't active enough. He didn't rip the title away from Joseph Parker. Okay, so I'll agree. Hughie could have thrown more punches. I'll also agree that Hughie Fury could have engaged a bit more. But in the process of doing all those things, Hughie Fury might have also found himself on the canvas because you throw more punches and you put yourself in certain positions, you get yourself in position to get knocked out. And who's to say that it's somewhere between rounds 1 and 12, Hughie had a sniff of the power of Mr. Parker and said, not tonight, sir. I'm keeping it at the end of the jab and I can win this fight off the end of the jab, pure boxing skill, using the jab and banging you with right hands and little uppercuts. That's how I think I can win this fight. And you couldn't blame him for the tactics that he put in at the time. This is the first time Hughie Fury had fought at that level. So he looked like he belonged at that level. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look like he was being overmatched or out of or he got badly beaten up or he struggled through the fight. He didn't give me that impression when I saw Hughie Fury. He looked basically at home. Inexperienced, if anything, at the highest level, fighting for a world title, jumping from fighting the likes of Radenko and Larry Alibamewu and you know them guys to jumping up and fighting Joseph Parker, the WBO heavyweight champion of the world, who now has a unification bout against Anthony Joshua. Jumping from that level to now fighting Joseph Parker, that's a big jump. 12 rounds, never done 12 rounds in your career. That plays a big part in a fighter's mind. I don't care who you are, unless you've done the 12 rounds, you don't know if you can do the 12 rounds. So that's in the back of your mind as well. So at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned here, Hughie he could have always done better. Now, with this fight against Sam Sexton, now, there are people that will say that Hughie was robbed because Parker had a fight lined up against Joshua. You can't argue with them, those people that say that, because there actually is a fight between Parker and Joshua now happening. So anybody who says that, you can't say, well, nah, mate, you're talking rubbish because the fight's arranged now. It's happened. When I questioned Joseph about it, if you go back and look at the interview on this channel, I asked Joseph, said, listen, a lot of people believe that you already had signed a contract to face Joshua if you just kept you on your feet for 12 rounds and you'd retain your title. He said, no. He said, the only time I knew I had a contract was when I was in the air. When I was landing, that's when I signed the contract to confirm I was fighting. Other than that, I didn't know. That's what Joseph Parker told me. I can't confirm one way or the other. So it is what it is with that situation. Now, remember, if people go back and I talked about Hughie Fury, and I said to people back then, I said, physically, he needs to prove to me. And remember, let's go back before the Parker fight. Hughie Fury had been coming off illness after illness after illness. Stop-start career. I'm not making excuses. This is what it is. These are facts. That he was ill. A stop-start career because of illness. So he'd come out of that, remember. He hadn't fought for How long hadn't Fury fought? About a year he hadn't fought. Then he had that fight against that sparring session that was off the record, sort of against Sokolowski, the guy that knocked out AJ Carter and went full distance with David Price, Sokolowski. Now that would be actually Sokolowski would be a good opponent for Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois. Whether those two guys will take that fight is another matter altogether. Hughie's fought him. So yeah, I think Hughie beat him on points as well. So after that, he then went into a fight against Joseph Parker. I would like to see Hughie fight more often, but he had to take that mandatory shot. So that's that. Let's get that out of the way. Quick, I'll go back to my point. Hughie Fury, going back, I asked two questions to Hughie Fury. His physical state and his mental state. I don't mean whether he's crazy or something. What I mean by his mental state is, can he perform under the lights knowing he hasn't been well for X amount of time in a big fight? Does he feel his body's going to break down over 12 rounds? He did the 12 rounds against Parker and whew, no breakdown, no sickness. He's cleared. He can fight now. So we knew he went 12 rounds. He did it. But he didn't get the win. So the mental game again for Hughie Fury. Yes, it's all right. Your dad telling you you're the uncrowned champion. Yes, it's okay for you to believe you won the fight. That's fine. And it's okay for you to believe you're robbed. All those things are plausible and understandable. But here's the thing. Joseph Parker will be in Cardiff shortly, and he'll be fighting with that WBO belt that you believe belongs to you, Hughie Fury. And that is psychological. That's in the mind. You've got my belt. How does Hughie Fury respond to a defeat? Does he come back bigger, better, stronger, correct the mistakes, rectify the issues, if there are issues that need rectified? Because as far as he's concerned, he is the uncrowned champion. So does anything need to be adjusted? Yeah, he'll throw a few more punches. But is that it? Is that all that needs to be done? Well, against Sam Sexton, what more do you want him to do? Here's the thing. Well, as soon as I heard this fight announced, Hughie versus Sam Sexton, I'm like, yeah, he should win that. He's got an excellent jab, got a good right hand, got good boxing ability. We'll keep Sexton on the end of that jab and then hit him with the right hand, tie him up, hit him with uppercuts on the inside, spin him, use the jab, keep Sexton on the end of a jab, land the big right hand at some point. After maybe 6, 7 rounds, he will go on and stop Sexton. If he doesn't stop him late, mid to late rounds, he beats him on points. Because Sam Sexton ain't outboxing Hughie Fury. And that was it. And then you know how you see a fight like that, and you think, all right, fine. And then you shut the door and you're like, yeah, all right, we're just waiting to the date. And the fight will be, and Hughie will come, he'll do his stuff, and he'll disappear, and that'll be that. He'll become British champion. So you already, as boxing fans, particularly if you're Fury fans, you already are seeing Hughie Fury as British champion, which is understandable against Sam Sexton. I understand it because it's not Joseph Parker. And I get that. I get that. But here's the thing. If Hughie is able to establish a jab and box and use the right hand and throw the uppercuts and spin and throw more punches that he did against Parker, great. But the mental thing again, I'm going back to it. Question number 1. If Sexton comes, and the only way Sexton can win this fight, Sam Sexton can forget about standing on the outside, putting his hands up like this and looking at Hughie Fury, because he's going to be in jab after jab after jab all night long. Forget that. So if the Sexton team, are planning to do what they've done against David Price or against Cornish or against Chisora, stand there, think about it, throw a jab, throw a right hand, plod, plod, plod. Forget that. you're going to get your head jabbed off rock all night long. The head's going to be going back like this all the time. Sexton's best opportunity to fight is to double up the jab, walk Hughie back to the ropes, and make it into a fight. And from round one, and to bring Hughie's mind right back to the Parker fight into round 13, in the hope that somehow, you know, that might be, he might revert to type where Hughie's on the back foot and not engaging as much. We don't know, because we don't know enough about Hughie Fury, whether the lack of engagement with Parker was because Parker hit harder than advertised and Hughie didn't want to engage and he just wanted to box him out with the jab. We don't know if Hughie didn't want to engage with Parker because he just wanted to box safe. We don't know if Hughie didn't want to box that way because he felt, you know what, I've got this fight under control. I'm fine. I don't have to do any more. I'm not being pushed any further. Or we don't even know if that's the best of Hughie Fury and we don't have any more to see. Now, to say that last statement would be a bit premature, considering Hughie is still very young in his career. So the last comment there, we could put to one side. The other two, mentally, there's some guys have set up mentally that, you know, there's some guys, no matter how much you give them physically and they train and they, you know, there'll never be guys that have got that nasty, aggressive instinct that will take you out. They'll always be quite, I wouldn't say timid, but they're not like, they're not killers. They're not out there going for blood. And there are other guys that actually naturally go for blood, if you understand what I'm saying. Is Hughie one of them kind of guys at the highest level? Is he a safety first guy? Or is he a guy that's going to come out blazing, throwing bombs against better opposition? I don't know. I can't make that count. I can't make that statement on Hughie because I don't know enough to see that. But he seems to me, from what I've seen of him and the amount of time I've seen Hughie, as a guy is quite happy to stick behind the jab, get the right hand off, and you know, find range and be a slick boxer. That's what he seems to me. I'm not sure how much of a brawler Hughie is. I'm not sure how much of a fighter Hughie is. Fighter meaning will get down in the trenches and real mix it up with you. Like Lennox Lewis used to do. He used to box a bit. Like good fights. Levi Billups, when Lewis fought Ray Mercer, when he fought Zelka Mavovich. 3 good examples. Maybe Holyfield, where Lennox was able to box long off the jab. And then when Mavovich came close or Holyfield got close, was able to throw little uppercuts on the inside. If you look at him when he fought Zelka Levi Billups in around the 8th or 10th round, you see Lewis getting on the inside, throwing 8-9 punches on the inside. Is Hughie Fury that kind of a fighter? Now, I don't foresee Sexton. If Sexton cannot get on the inside of Hughie Fury, I do not see Sexton giving Hughie that many problems. And I can just see his head being used as a bumper, the head going back, and then the right hand cracking through the middle. That's what I do see of the fight happening with Hughie Fury and Sexton. The only chance Sexton's had, like I said before, get Hughie's back against the ropes, put pressure on him, and try and somehow draw him into some sort of war. But otherwise, I don't know how Sam Sexton can win this fight. I really don't. I don't know how it came about him deciding to fight Hughie. Maybe he saw Hughie and thought, you know what? I saw him fight against Parker. Their weaknesses there, I'll try and jump on him. Or he was forced into the decision. I don't know. But credit to Sam Sexton for taking the fight, first of all. And we got a good fight on our hands here. So, you know, a lot of people are not excited about this fight. For me, if I'm Hughie Fury, I need to put that Josie Parker fight to the back of my mind. I need to come out. I need to say, you know what? That was a bad night of the office. Or, you know what? I won that fight, but I got robbed. I'm going to show you guys that I'm here to stay. And I'm here to show that I'm a class above, which I think he's a class above Sam Sexton. He's got to show it. He's got to go out there and do it. He cannot afford to be going labouring 12 rounds with Sam Sexton like how the Cornish fight. He needs to be getting like Sam Sexton out of there inside 6-7 rounds, to be honest. Really. And look impressive and move on. You know what I mean? Quick. Now, let's see what people are saying in the room. I've got Phil Harv in the room. Shout out to Phil Harv. Booker for Soccer says, keep it real. Absolutely. Root says, this must be the driest fight ever. Hughie gets no props for this. Meant to be a world level, then drops down to British level. What a joke. Well, I think if you get a British title and you win the British title, it gives you an automatic world ranking. You break into the top 10 with a British title, I believe. If I'm correct, that's how it used to work. British title gives you an automatic top 10 ranking. I think in all governing bodies, I think. If not all, then it could be the WBC. Hughie was robbed by bent judges so they can make the Joshua fight. And then Soccer continues by saying, exactly, Ingram. Hamza S says, I hope Hughie adapts his style so he won't get robbed again. You just can't run and outpoint your opponents. This isn't the amateurs. Okay. And then Booker for Soccer responds and says, it's still boxing, hit and not get hit. So this is where I'm a bit confused sometimes when people talk, because they talk about running and hit and not get hit. Boxing is about hit and not get hit. That is the art of boxing. The sweet science of making a guy miss and making him pay. Today's generation of boxing fans don't listen to hit, and they're anti-boxing. If you listen to them, they're anti-boxing. They're anti-hit and not get hit. They're anti that. What they want to hear is, you get hit, I take a punch. You take a punch, I take a punch. You take a punch, I take a punch. That's not boxing. That's not boxing. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong, but it's not boxing. It didn't show the sweet art of boxing. It didn't show a guy using a jab, making a guy miss and hit with the right hand, or using a counter like how check left hook, like how Floyd Mayweather knocked at Hatton. You know, those things. Sweet science, beautiful. Yeah, shifting to left and hit the guy with a right hand, or shifting to the right and go to left. You know, how you set up a knockout. Those things, the science behind those things. So for us to get really great fighters in this area is going to be a lot more difficult, because they're not going to be appreciated, because the things that make a guy a great fighter, making them guys miss and making them pay, making them slip. I mean, you talk about hit and not get hit. People love Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson used to make people miss and make them pay all the time with that head movement. Hit and not get hit. Tyson didn't get hit much, and he used to knock you over. So I'm not so sure what people want in boxing. I don't know. But he displayed to me, Hughie, hit and not get hit. It might not have been attractive. I understand that. And it might not have got the audience the way it should have. But in a fair room, you know, and we didn't have Joshua Parker round the corner for X amount of millions, you would have thought that Hugh would have won that fight. If it was any other champion, Hugh would have won that fight. But it is what it is. And that would have been effective on any other night against any other opponent. You're right, but the judges sometimes give the fight to the fighter who actually pursues the fight. You saw what happened versus Lara versus Canelo. I agree. I agree totally. What I'd love to do is with these judges, before the fight is even sort of like takes place, not before it takes place, like the night of the fight, I'd like to talk to judges and say, okay, you sir, and you ma'am, what are you looking for in a fight? Are you looking to see the fighter be aggressive, or are you looking to fight is going to counterpunch? What is your style, and what are you looking for as a judge? I'll ask those three judges the question. So then when the judges' scorecard came out afterwards, I could say, all right, so you were judging based on the guy who's been the aggressor. I can understand why you saw Parker win the fight. You two were judging a guy that made a person miss and made them pay. Okay, I can see why Hughie won that fight. That would be interesting. Would that be? Is there a date for the Hughie vs. Sexton? Yes, it's already confirmed. Yeah, true, bro. They do, but Parker hardly touched Hughie all night, whereas Hughie was landing a lot more. I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Hamza boxing, Bocker for Soccer says, I had Hughie winning as well. Parker was missing most of his work. Parker was getting outboxed, but politics got him the W. I agree. Bad guy says Hughie made Parker look sloppy. Parker didn't look elite. I agree. I agree. Kevin Barry agrees. Parker himself agreed. But he won't have that problem against Joshua. I had Parker winning by a landslide. Hughie was too passive. They told him to let his hands go more, and if he does, he can be great, says Jonathan. Jonathan says Hughie can keep boxing and moving, but he's got to do it with a jab. That's a lot more active and confident. Jonathan says that's not true though. They want to see the sweet signs, but you got to keep active while doing it. Lara versus Canelo and Fury Parker were very similar, but Fury didn't hit much more than Parker. He looked intimidated and running. Tyson Fury did on Klitschko, and Hughie tried on Parker, except a ton more activity. Yeah. Hughie is the white Ali. Well, I heard that Mick Hennessy said shades of Ali, and I thought that was a bit. I don't know why he said that at the time, Hennessy. I don't know why he said it. I wonder, I'm going to ask you, why do you say shades of Muhammad Ali in there? I don't know why he said that. It put more pressure on the poor young man. So, you know, I saw no shades of Ali for sure. Oh, there you go. I think Muhammad Shades of Ali was a bit strong. Very strong. But again, I wish Hughie all the best against Sam Sexton. It's a stretch to say that for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's it. Hughie versus Sam Sexton. The game plan got to be for Sam Sexton. Double jab. Get inside quickly. Don't allow Hughie to get any sort of rhythm whatsoever. Don't allow him to get the nice jab off. Don't basically rough Hughie up. Don't give him a chance to get into the fight whatsoever. That has got to be the only way Sexton wins the fight. I don't care how you go about it, Sam Sexton. Get in there and rough Hughie up. That's what you got to do. That's the only way Sam Sexton can win the fight. And hope that somehow he can use man strength and bully Hughie and rough him up and try and disturb his rhythm. I'll find it for you when the fight has been made. So I'll type it up and I'll find it for you now. Hold on. I think it's in May. I believe it's in May. Right. The 12th of May. So the 12th of May, get your tickets. It's going to be at the Bolton White's Hotel. So get your tickets for that. So do you think Hughie got a title shot too early? Well, okay, bad guy. I would say this. I would say that Hughie, I would like to see Hughie get a couple more fights before he fought Parker. I'll say that much. But, like I said, if that fight was anybody else, like if that was against, what's his name? What's the heavyweight champion that was against Charles Martin, or against Bermain Stavern before Stavern lost to Deontay Wilder, or against, I don't know, Manuel Shah, or against Shannon Briggs, or against anybody else that wasn't a big money seller, right, and wasn't going to schedule to fight Joshua next, Hughie Fury won that fight without a shadow of a doubt. So that's where we're going to be with that. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Sam Sexton versus Hughie Fury. Next up, I'm going to share, it's 10:30 comes in. I'll be sharing my thoughts on David Haye, the comeback, Bellew versus Haye 2, and Haye with all these new training techniques. I'll see you soon. Take care.